26 years ago, the world watched as on the 11th of July, Srebrenica fell, and in the following days, over 8,000 Bosnian Muslim men were separated from their loved ones and murdered simply on account of their identities. Across Bosnia and Herzegovina, tens of thousands of men, women and children were tortured, killed and detained in concentration camps, with others forced to flee their own homes. Mass graves are still being discovered even as late as this year. Thousands of families still are searching for their missing loved ones. This was a campaign of genocide against the Bosnian Muslims during the Bosnian War, which turned previously integrated communities against one another. Every year, Remembering Srebrenica selects a theme that reflects an aspect of the genocide that must be commemorated, but also speaks to the communities here in the UK. The theme for 2021 is Rebuilding Lives. Our theme this year, Rebuilding Lives, focuses on the remarkable ways that survivors of the Bosnian genocide continued to fight for justice. We seek to recognise the lessons that we are all able to learn from Srebrenica, and highlight the work taking place in both the UK and abroad, so future generations may move forward with hope and celebration of diversity and differences. We have seen the positive impact that commemorating Srebrenica in the UK can have in terms of bringing people together to reflect on the importance of tackling hatred and intolerance, and the theme for 2021 will no doubt go a long way in empowering individuals with the skills and knowledge to not only stand up to hatred, but also help in building stronger, more cohesive communities for all. One such example is in Northern Ireland.
Rebuilding lives, rebuilding trust is exactly what we're trying to do here in Northern Ireland. As is happening in Bosnia, we're trying to build a sustainable peace in both regions in an area where there is significant community tension and community division still, which is driven by religion, identity and many other things. There are so many similarities and significant challenges in Bosnia that are also relevant in Northern Ireland. We helped to facilitate with Belfast City Council a visit by the president of the Mothers of Srebrenica, Manira Sibazic. She spoke to so many people at different events, and everybody was struck by how the challenges are similar and how we have so much to learn from each other, both in Bosnia and here in Northern Ireland. Whenever young people here look at the legacy of conflict as there is in Bosnia, they can't help but come back to Northern Ireland understanding why it is critically important to stand up to prejudice and discrimination, why it's really important to support diversity. And I suppose they understand that relationship dismantles prejudice, and that's true in Bosnia just as it is in Northern Ireland.
Mid and East Antrim Council, we're delighted to work in partnership with Remembering Srebrenica UK and the NI. 17 young people benefit from the first phase of the programme and travelled to Bosnia, and they had a very impactful and powerful experience during that visit. I hope the young people will recognise their role as peace builders. Indeed, one of the aspirations we would have is that they can take that learning and make a difference in their own communities on their return. As a mother of 5 sons myself, I could only begin to imagine the pain and the suffering the mothers endured through the loss of their sons, husbands, brothers. It's encouraged me as a volunteer in my own community to try to make some positive change and develop more around the work of integration and cross-community contact.
I met with Nicola Lane from Belfast City Council at a peace wall, barriers which have been put up to separate nationalist Catholic neighbourhoods from Unionist Protestant neighbourhoods. Nicola was responsible for bringing Manira, president of the Mothers of Srebrenica, to visit Belfast around a year ago.
Northern Ireland and Bosnia have so many similarities in terms of being post-conflict countries that we felt it was imperative that really just hearing from a film wasn't going to be enough, but to actually hear Manira in person would be very impactful. I think the biggest lesson that we can actually look at Bosnia for us here from Northern Ireland is how easy it is to lose peace. I think if you look at the different steps towards genocide, and I think we should be very grateful that we've never actually gone as far as what happened in Bosnia, just because there are peace walls here and there you can count the physical. There's also a number of invisible barriers. A road can be a barrier where people who live there maybe think that they can't cross. And I would say probably in Bosnia there are examples of that as well. So sometimes the barriers can also be psychological.
I'm here at Stormont to meet with Permanent Secretary of Department of Education, Mark Browne.
I think Bosnia and Northern Ireland in rebuilding lives and rebuilding peace do have many similar difficulties. I think it's important that every generation learns about good relations and how to live and get on with people from different backgrounds, different cultures and with different views. We also have to learn from the past in order to try and ensure that the terrible events that happened at Srebrenica with the genocide and all the violence that went with that doesn't happen again in the future. And that young people and others realise that these terrible events start from very small events. They start from intolerance, they start from small acts of disrespect and then can build up into much more serious events. The work of remembering Srebrenica is critical in keeping all of those events to the forefront of our minds.
In July 2020, Remembering Srebrenica planted a tree on the grounds of Stormont in remembrance of the victims of the genocide. This was supported by the 5 main political parties across the community divide. I'm here at Stormont today to meet with leading politicians Declan Kearney and Doug Beattie. Declan is MLA and Junior Minister at the Executive Office, and Doug Beattie is newly elected Party Leader of the UUP, MLA and former peacekeeper in Bosnia.
I was very privileged, in fact, to be part of the ceremony last year and to make a small contribution, a modest contribution, on behalf of the Executive, on my own behalf, my family's behalf and on behalf of my party. It's important for us in this place to be able to show solidarity, to share in the remembrance of that event. We have been able to make connections in relation to our shared experiences, our shared suffering, and also with regard to the shared future that we need to shape within our respective settings. And we have so much to learn from one another.
Identity and culture can be so much enriching, but it can drive division as well if we're not careful. And Northern Ireland has to learn the lessons, not just from our own past, but from what has happened around the world, and particularly in places like Bosnia-Herzegovina and Srebrenica, because identity politics can just put a wedge between communities. And we in Northern Ireland can learn lessons from this, but at the same time we can reach to other nations and they can learn lessons from what we have done as we reach out the hand of friendship to people who may have been our enemies in years gone by.
To find out more about the genocide in Bosnia and how to get involved in Srebrenica memorial activities in your community, please visit srebrenica.org.uk.